The cold princess caught me. Get ready and follow me, human. The starship's alarms shrieked as Marcus Chin fought with the failing controls, ice crystals spreading across the viewport like frozen veins. Come on, he muttered, his hands dancing across the console as Crystalia's surface rushed toward him, an endless expanse of silver ice and sapphire glaciers. The impact sent him sprawling. When consciousness returned, frigid air burned his lungs, and he found himself staring at the most beautiful and terrifying woman he'd ever seen. She stood over him like a statue carved from moonlight itself, her silver-white hair cascading past her shoulders, frost literally forming in the air around her. Her eyes were the pale blue of ancient ice, utterly devoid of warmth as they studied him with clinical detachment. A human, she said, her voice like wind over frozen lakes. How disappointing. Marcus tried to stand, but crystalline shackles materialized around his wrists with a casual wave of her hand. Wait please. I'm a diplomat from Earth. My ship malfunctioned. Silence. She circled him slowly, examining him as one might inspect livestock. I am Princess Seraphina Frost, First Blade of Crystalia. You are now my prisoner, specimen, and property. Get ready and follow me, human. I have a name, Marcus protested, struggling against the chains. They didn't budge. It's Marcus Chin and I'm here on a peaceful. Seraphina's hand shot out, gripping his chin with surprising strength, forcing him to meet her gaze. For a moment, something flickered in those icy depths, curiosity perhaps? Then it vanished. Your name is irrelevant. Your purpose is irrelevant. Your species has proven weak, emotional, and chaotic. You will serve as my study in human limitations. She released him, turning sharply. My fortress lies 3 kilometers north. You will walk. If you fall, I will drag you. If you flee, I will hunt you. These are your only certainties. She began walking, her movements graceful despite the heavy armor she wore. Marcus stumbled after her, the chains compelling him forward through some magic he didn't understand. The ice palace materialized through the swirling snow like a fever dream, towers of crystalline beauty that caught the strange double suns and shattered light into 1,000 colors. Guards in frosted armor watched their approach with masked faces. Welcome to your cage, human, Seraphina announced. Try not to die too quickly. I have many questions that require answers. 3 weeks in Seraphina's fortress felt like 3 years. Marcus had been assigned quarters in the servants' wing, a small room with walls of translucent ice that somehow never melted. Each morning he was summoned to Seraphina's chambers to perform menial tasks, organizing her weapons, polishing her armor, preparing her ceremonial robes. She barely spoke to him, treating him like animated furniture. Yet Marcus noticed things. The way her jaw tightened when the High Council sent messages. How she stood at her balcony for hours, staring at the frozen wasteland as if searching for answers in the ice. Why do you do that? He asked one evening, breaking their usual silence. Seraphina's eyes narrowed. Do what? Look out there like you're waiting for something that'll never come. For a moment he thought she might freeze him solid. Instead she said, You observe too much for a servant. I'm a diplomat, remember? Observation is literally my job. Something almost like amusement touched her lips before vanishing. Was your job. Now you polish swords. The day everything changed started like any other. Marcus was accompanying Seraphina through the fortress when screams echoed from the eastern tower. Prince Kirin, Seraphina's 12-year-old brother, had ventured onto a crumbling ice bridge over the chasm of echoes. Kirin. Seraphina's composure shattered as she ran, but the bridge was already fracturing beneath the boy's weight. Marcus didn't think. He sprinted past Seraphina, his lighter weight allowing him to move faster across the unstable surface. He reached Kirin just as the bridge gave way, grabbing the boy and hurling him toward solid ground. Marcus himself plunged downward. An iron grip caught his wrist. Seraphina had thrown herself flat on the remaining ice, both hands locked around his arm, her face strained with effort. You fool, she hissed, hauling him up with shocking strength. You utter fool. Back on solid ground, Kirin hugged Marcus fiercely. Thank you. Thank you. Seraphina stood apart, breathing hard, her usual mask nowhere to be found. She looked shaken. That night, she appeared at Marcus's door, the first time she'd ever sought him out. You saved my brother. Her voice was different, softer somehow. Of course I did. He's a kid. You could have died. So could you. You caught me. Seraphina stepped closer, studying his face like she was seeing him for the first time. Tell me about this Earth custom. Gratitude. How does one properly express it? Marcus smiled. Usually with words. Thank you works pretty well. Thank you, Marcus Chin. She tested his name carefully like something fragile. Perhaps, you are not entirely weak. It became their ritual. Late-night conversations where Serafina asked endless questions about Earth, about emotions she'd been trained to suppress, about warmth she'd never known. And Marcus found himself falling for the woman behind the ice. Forbidden warmth. The summons came on a morning when frost flowers bloomed outside Marcus's window. The High Council demanded his presence, and his execution. The human represents a contamination of our pure bloodlines, Chancellor Vri declared, his ancient face carved from living ice. He must be eliminated before he spreads his weakness further. Marcus stood in chains before the council, Serafina seated among them in full ceremonial armor. Her face revealed nothing. Princess Serafina, Vri continued, as his captor, the honor of execution falls to you. The chamber fell silent. Marcus's heart hammered. After everything, would she actually? No. Serafina's voice cut like a blade through winter air. The council erupted in protests. Vria's eyes blazed. You dare defy. I invoke the law of bonded protectors. Serafina stood, her presence commanding absolute attention. Marcus Chin has proven his worth through sacrifice. By ancient right, I claim him as mine. Completely. Irrevocably. Vria's expression darkened. The bonding ritual has not been performed in 3 centuries. It requires. I know what it requires. Serafina's gaze never wavered. We will complete it tonight under the aurora. Unless the council wishes to challenge laws older than this very fortress. Checkmate. The council had no choice but to grant permission. That evening, Serafina came to Marcus's quarters wearing not armor but flowing robes of shimmering white. Her hair hung loose and for the first time she looked vulnerable. You didn't have to do this, Marcus said softly. Yes, I did. She took his hand, her skin cool against his warmth. The ritual is intimate. We must share our deepest fears, our greatest shames. The aurora will judge if our bond is true. They walked to the plateau of stars, where the northern lights already danced rivers of green and purple across the black sky. Serafina arranged 2 cushions facing each other, then sat, pulling Marcus down across from her. Give me your hands. He did. The moment their palms pressed together, the aurora brightened, responding to their connection. I'll begin, Serafina whispered. I fear becoming my father. He was cold, cruel, and his heart was truly frozen. He taught me that emotion was weakness, that love was a disease. I'm terrified that he's right, that I'm already too broken to feel anything real. Her voice cracked on the last word and Marcus saw tears freezing on her cheeks. You're wrong, he said firmly. I've seen your heart, Serafina. When you saved me from the chasm, when you talk about Kiran, when you ask about Earth like you're starving for something more than this endless ice. You feel everything. You're just brave enough to hide it. And you, she asked, what do you fear? That I'll always be an outsider. Never crystalline enough for your world, too changed to return to mine. That I'll love you completely and you'll wake up one day and remember I'm just the weak human you captured. You're not weak. Serafina leaned forward, her forehead touching his. You're the strongest person I've ever met. The aurora exploded above them in brilliant waves. Serafina closed the distance, her lips finding his in a kiss that was tentative at first, then desperate. Ice and fire meeting, melting together. The price of love. The seasons changed on Crystalia and with them so did Serafina. The cold princess who once walked through the fortress like a living glacier now smiled, actually smiled, when Marcus entered a room. Their bond had become the worst-kept secret in the palace. They stole moments wherever they could. In the ice gardens, where Serafina would create frozen sculptures while Marcus told stories of Earth's oceans and deserts. In the library, where they discovered a shared love of ancient poetry. In the quiet hours before dawn, when Serafina would slip into his quarters, and they would simply hold each other, her head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. It's so warm, she'd whisper. You're always so warm. And you're always so beautiful, he'd reply, kissing her silver hair. But peace never lasted on Crystalia. The messenger arrived during a council meeting, his armor scorched, blood freezing on his wounds. The Obsidian Kingdom has discovered the human's presence. King Malachar demands his surrender within 3 days, or he marches to war with 50,000 troops. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Vri turned to Serafina with barely concealed satisfaction. Your pet human has doomed us all, princess. Surrender him and we may yet avoid bloodshed. Never. Serafina's voice was absolute zero. Then you choose war over duty? Vri challenged. I choose to find another way. That night, Serafina came to Marcus's chambers, but this time her eyes held a desperate intensity. She locked the door behind her, then crossed to him in 3 swift strides. If we go to war tomorrow, she said, her voice trembling, if I lose you? Marcus pulled her close, cutting off her words with a fierce kiss. You won't lose me. We'll figure this out. Promise me, she whispered against his lips. Promise me one night where nothing else exists. No kingdoms, no war, no duty. Just us. He answered by lifting her in his arms, carrying her to his bed. Their armor and clothing fell away like unnecessary walls. Every touch was a promise, every kiss a vow. Serafina's cool skin warmed beneath his hands as they explored each other with reverent hunger. I love you, Marcus breathed against her neck, her collarbone, the curve of her shoulder. I love you, she gasped back, her fingers tangling in his hair, pulling him closer, always closer. They moved together like the collision of winter and spring, creating something entirely new. Serafina had never allowed herself to be vulnerable, to surrender control, but with Marcus she was safe. She could be fierce and fragile, powerful and trembling. Afterward, they lay entwined, her head on his chest, his arms wrapped around her as if he could shield her from the coming storm. I won't let them take you, Serafina whispered into the darkness. I don't care what it costs. Marcus stroked her hair, his mind already racing. What if there's a way to save both? Your kingdom and us. She lifted her head, those pale blue eyes searching his face. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, he said slowly, that I'm still technically a diplomat. And diplomats broker deals. 2 worlds united. Marcus stood before King Malakar's war council via holographic transmission, with Serafina at his side, their hands clasped together in plain view of both kingdoms. You demand my surrender, Marcus began, his voice steady despite the stakes. But I propose something better. An alliance. Malakar, a mountain of a man whose armor seemed forged from volcanic glass, laughed. Why would I ally with those who harbor spies? Because I'm not a spy, I'm a bridge. Marcus activated the data crystal, displaying Earth's trading routes, technology exchanges, and diplomatic networks. Crystalia has resources Earth needs. Your Obsidian Kingdom has geothermal energy that could revolutionize both our worlds. But you're too busy threatening each other to see the opportunity. Earth has nothing I want, Malakar growled. Earth has everything you want, Serafina interjected, her tactical mind now fully engaged. Medical technology to cure the crystal plague affecting your southern territories. Agricultural methods to grow food in volcanic soil. And most importantly, a neutral mediator for the border disputes that have sparked 3 wars in the last decade. Marcus continued, I propose a 3-way alliance. Earth provides technology and mediation. Crystalia offers rare minerals and strategic position. Obsidian Kingdom provides energy resources and military security. We all benefit. We all prosper. And you? Malakar's eyes narrowed. What do you gain, human? Marcus looked at Serafina, his heart in his eyes. Igainoma. A family. A future worth fighting for. The negotiations lasted 3 grueling days. Vri fought them at every turn, but Serafina outmaneuvered him brilliantly, building coalitions within the council, promising trade benefits, appealing to Crystalia's long-term survival over short-term pride. When the treaty was finally signed, witnessed by representatives from all 3 worlds, the fortress erupted in cautious celebration. But Serafina had one more move to make. She stood before the assembled court, Marcus beside her, and addressed her people with the commanding presence of a true queen. For too long we have confused strength with coldness, power with isolation. But I have learned that the greatest strength comes from opening your heart, not freezing it. Marcus Chin saved my brother. He saved me from becoming what I feared most. And he saved our kingdom from a war we couldn't win. She turned to Marcus, taking both his hands in hers. Before all witnesses, I claim Marcus Chin not as my servant, not as my bonded protector, but as my chosen consort. My equal. My love. The court gasped. Vri started to protest, but Kiran, now standing tall in his own right, stepped forward. I support my sister's choice. Any who oppose it oppose me as well. One by one, the council members bowed their heads in acceptance. Even Vri, defeated, could only offer a stiff nod. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the grand hall wearing ceremonial robes that combined crystalline ice silk with Earth's finest fabrics, a symbol of 2 worlds united. Serafina approached in a gown that sparkled like starlight on snow, her silver hair crowned with crystals that refracted the light into rainbows. "Ready to rule a kingdom?" she asked with a rare, genuine smile. "Ready to rule it with you," he corrected, taking her hand. As they were crowned joint sovereigns of Crystallia, the aurora blazed above the palace in unprecedented brilliance, as if the planet itself celebrated their union. That night, in their private chambers, Serafina stood on their balcony, looking out at the frozen landscape she'd once seen as a prison. But now, with Marcus's arms around her from behind, his warmth against her back, she saw possibility. "What are you thinking?" Marcus asked, kissing her temple. "That I was wrong about everything. About strength, about duty, about love." She turned in his arms, her eyes, no longer cold but warm with affection, meeting his. "You didn't just capture my heart, Marcus Chin. You taught it how to beat again." "The cold princess caught me first," he reminded her with a grin. "Best capture of my life." Their laughter echoed through the ice palace as they kissed beneath the stars, two souls from different worlds who had created something beautiful together. A love that could melt even the coldest of hearts and bridge the vast distances between planets. And in the years that followed, their alliance brought unprecedented peace and prosperity. But more importantly, it proved that sometimes the most powerful magic isn't found in ice or technology or ancient laws. It's found in the courage to open your heart to someone completely different, and trust that love will build a bridge where none existed before. The end.